Yep. So ready whenever you are.
All right, let's do it. Uh, this is my channel. It's Sub-Zero 3639. Got my partner on here, Edward Anderson. I heard Edward Anderson the other day. There was a channel or a discussion with Angry Man, the Angry Man, one of my favorite YouTubers, actually. I was listening to him. He had a discussion about Boyce Watkins, not the one why he's full of shit, but the one called Angry Man Ain't Got a Fake Jacks, right? And in that discussion, he's talking about Boyce Watkins. A few callers called up, and Edward called in, and I listened to the brother. I said, "Yeah, I like what the brother's saying. He's making some good points. He's not, because I'm, if you're familiar with my channel, if anybody that's heard my channel, I'm very pro business, pro capitalism, not to the extent of crony capitalism or corporatism, but I am very pro business minded. That's my mindset. So Edward is a very articulate brother. I spoke with him briefly this morning. Tell him about yourself, and we'll just go from there.
All right. Well, hello everybody. My name is Edward Anderson of Black Source Codes. I know one thing I'll tell you about myself is I actually have 4 names on my birth certificate. So Edward and Anderson. It is not my first. Edward is not my first name, but it is one of my names, and Anderson is my last name. So I'm not one of these dudes that's completely like avatarish out here, which is nothing wrong with that. But a lot of people have been asking me about that. And I wanted to, throw that out there. So that's a little bit about me. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. And right now I currently reside actually not too far from Angry Man. I reside literally less than probably 12 miles from him. And I am in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is, the South, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's like the dirty South like Alabama or anything like that. The Triangle is a very unique place. And the main thing you need to understand about me is I'm a man of nuance. I'm a type of person where at the end of the day, I want to put points on the board. I deal with things that are real and tangible, things that you can measure, things you can track. And also I'm a person of balance, meaning I am not particularly ideological. The only thing I am very ideological about is moving forward. So if you ever see me on Hangouts or see me in comment sections on various channels, what you will see is I get if you see me go in, I'm going in because somebody is perpetuating some bullshit, or they don't know what they're talking about and they're trying to talk as though they do. Or they're people that want to, be all, I don't want to use the term esoteric, but they want to take stuff into so much out of the realm of things you can measure and things of logic. I don't have a lot of patience for that, because the state of black men, the situation of black men are in is very serious. And as a black man, whether you're older or younger, it's a lot of landmines out there that's waiting for you to be stupid and waiting for you to get on one and blow your life up. So, that's as much as you need to know about me. And, Sub-Zero, which is one of my favorite characters in Mortal Kombat, by the way. But anyway, Sub-Zero, reached out to me and I'm on here. So,
Yeah, I called
we're going to
myself
chop.
Sub-Zero when I played basketball. One time I froze a guy, and I did a little move and froze him and went by him and dunked on the guy. And everybody started calling me Sub-Zero.
Oh, that's very interesting.
So it's
That's
stuck.
all it takes sometimes.
Say what?
That's all it takes sometimes. See, I'm a shorter guy, but I was particularly adept at stealing the ball. So people used to always steal the ball and then pass it, but people would pick me on the team because they knew if they put me on the person that had handles, I was very good at memorizing people's rhythms. And it's very few players that were good enough to where, they were so good that they can overcome that. And I'm not gonna lie, being out here in Raleigh, we got some All-Americans, man.
Oh yeah, North Carolina is known for putting out a lot of good ball players, man. North Carolina, Memphis. The South is I think the South has a bad rap with a lot of people. And, I think a lot of people kind of play the South wrong, especially There's one book I read called Sundown Towns, where it really went into depth about where most of the sundown towns were, where a lot of the hangings and race riots. Oddly enough, is really scarce in the South. It's really the Midwest, up north, in Pennsylvania and different
Yeah, the
Ohio.
Midwest. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that. Because there's a lot less black people in the Midwest. If you get outside the cities, it's more just white people.
Yeah, well, you know what? The funny thing I find about that book, though, that made it interesting was, if you look at it, the book really shows how, if you go to the look at the census of 1890, black people lived in Montana, Vermont, Idaho, Iowa. We lived everywhere. There were times where there were a lot. If we had been left alone, and I guess this is going to kind of dovetail us into really what I want to have this discussion about. If we had been left alone after slavery, we would probably be the wealthiest group of individuals on this planet, on this planet, and especially in the United States, because there
So
was a lot of things that people always. That's why I don't even like that whole PTSD thing that Umar Johnson always loves to tout. There's a lot of things that people want to try to couple reparations with slavery. I don't think you have to couple reparations with slavery. You can couple reparations with sundown towns, with a lot of other things that's been done. Slavery is just the
that's an
cherry on
interesting
top.
point. That's a very interesting point. Now, what I was going to piggyback on that is the strongest Black Wall Street was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So anywhere that there was a major metroplex, even in those cities, yeah, you're right, we were there. And yeah, but because of various reasons, those areas got really heavily concentrated white over there. As far as what you said about tying up reparations outside of slavery, that's an interesting point, because a lot of times if I do talk to white people about these things, because I don't care, like I'm not bashful about using terms like white supremacy in front of white men, because if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But I tell people, when people try to say slavery was so long ago, I say black people can make a case of reparations just off the crack era. If we really tell the truth about why the crack era happened and the impact that it had, that was a terrorist attack that the U.S. government. This is not, and I don't really play conspiracy games, but but that's something that's actually provable. That the reason why the crack era happened and how that ties into what was going on with the war on communism and stuff like that. And a lot of people don't want to talk about that. So you have that era, then you have what you were talking about with the sun, kind of like the economic terrorism of the Black Wall Street era, which precursors the civil rights movement. So you've got what they did when it comes to taking us off of land, redlining, what they did with the interstates, how they used the federal government would left it to the states to get whatever land they needed to create the interstates for the federal government, and the states would use that as a way to disrupt black areas. And there's a lot of history in the triangle with that, that affects us till this day. People talk about gentrification like gentrification is a new thing. It's not new at all. It's always been going on. It's never been as rapid is what's going on now. And with technology and stuff. So yeah, there's about I think 4 or 5 major eras. You've got slavery, you've got economic terrorism vis-a-vis the destruction of Black Wall Street, you've got the civil rights movement and all the stuff that happened with that, you've got the crack era, and then now we're in the current era, which is the prisons, which
Yeah,
13th on Netflix and all that covers that, as you know. So those are like the 5 eras that we could make a case for reparations for any one of those eras.
I would like to. I honestly think J. Edgar Hoover and the COINTELPRO program is very, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, when I talk to whites, because if you look at capitalism, which is what I really want this conversation to be about. But if you look at capitalism, like right now, I went to get something to eat. I didn't feel like driving back home. I said, let me just stop at the Walmart by the house. And so I'm sitting out here in the parking lot. But this is the thing. If I get rid of this Walmart, mom and pop shops would pop up that service the needs of the people within this community, right? I mean, they would. I mean, so I mean, and not, of course, some
Yeah,
in
they
Atlanta.
fill up the
It's a
void.
little
They fill
different
up.
because Atlanta is so big. But what I'm saying is, you have when you look at capitalism, when you look at, for example, let's take Tulsa, right? Tulsa was just one. There were a number of cities where that took place. That was
North
just
Carolina, Wilmington, and Durham. I live
yeah,
not
Wilmington,
not
North
2
Carolina,
miles from Durham.
Rosewood. There were a bunch of them. So they were
Richmond.
just in Red Summer. It's called the
Yeah.
Red Summer of 1919. I'm from Montgomery, Alabama. So in Red Summer of 1919, my grandfather told me that they did some stuff to ran my grandfather out of business. His grandfather out of business. And he told him about it. Now I'm from Montgomery. That was the summer of 1919. So just think about it. Here we are today, and I'm still out here struggling, trying to get my feet started in business. Had we been left alone, we would have been okay. So it's just like if you're riding down a highway, you got two cars in one, and they're both in, one is in the left lane, one is in the right lane, and they block the highway. One gets over. Eventually, somebody's going to take that next lane and fill that vacuum or that void. There was a vacuum created in the capitalistic society of America. Once you take and strip blacks of their land, their wealth, county alone, which is not too far from where I'm at right now, there was my homeboy, Mr. Black Man, taking our community back, makes a point about how they took $300 million worth of property from them in basically in the form of 1,100 homes that were stolen, so that were taken from me. So that's wealth that was just stripped. So that's $300 million. That's enough. You take $300 million and just give it to everybody in Atlanta and split it to all the black people. That would be a sizable amount. So that just goes to show you how much money
Well,
that we've lost.
yeah. No, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, I'm glad we're talking about this first because a lot of people probably came on here expecting me to start railing against Yvette and all of that. The reality is, I understand what she's talking about, but at the end of the day, white people don't give a fuck about that. So the idea this like, oh, we caught you. We know exactly what happened. You didn't do a good job hiding it. Because let's be clear, if they really intended on covering it up, they would. So the idea that we don't know, well, the majority don't know, like, but we're the way we're talking about it. But even if we take that and present that case, there's no mechanism on the planet that can make the United States like, you know, any treaty is as good as the ability to enforce it. This idea that people are just going to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Maybe if black people were running the planet, it'd be like that, but white people are, and it's not like that. So the reality,
Well, I mean, when you look at Yvette Carnell, as much as she can espouse government and the virtues of what would be nice if government did this and did that, we talked about this earlier today. Dr. Claude Anderson always breaks it down. There are grades to it. You start with your economy first. If you don't have your economy first, you cannot build up to infiltrating government. The way government works is like an Uber. If you and I get in an Uber, right, and I got the money and you don't, and you want to go downtown and I want to go uptown, we're going uptown because I got the money and that's where it wants. And that's the way government works. Black people don't have enough influence financially. You need money. If the
exactly.
Jews want something done, damn it, they spend it. They make campaign contributions. That's the first thing. If
Yeah,
look, I got a family member that's in office. He talked about when people come to him and say they want stuff done, they always start off with, "Hey, I can make a campaign contribution." Well, if a black person can't make a campaign contribution, and all you got is a vote, voting is the weakest form of political power there is.
that's
So
a great way of putting it. Political currency and money is one. Like it's like giving somebody gold versus silver. Which one would you rather have? Gold.
gold off
What
the top.
about platinum? Which one would you rather have? Okay, we'll talk about the platinum.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Because it's not saying votes don't matter, but money, you can manipulate your way into votes, just as Donald Trump.
I mean, honestly, like, and that's the thing with Trump. That I'm gonna say this, and this is probably not popular. You may disagree. I'm not this big anti-Trump guy. I'm not, and the reason I'm not is this. To me, I understand politics a little different. I don't get caught up into the principles of the Democrat Party are for the poor little guy and the Republicans are for the rich. I don't look at it like that. I look at it like, what type of money do you have and who can influence it the most? I don't give a damn what party you're affiliated with. Donald Trump, Donald Trump to me, like when they got mad at Steve Harvey, I thought that was the dumbest shit in the world because I'm gonna
Well,
say this, my whole let me say this. Let me say this right here. I'm gonna tell you why. My boy made a video about it. He was talking about we don't get anything for what we go. Like black people will fight tooth and nail for symbolic shit. Like the fact that a flag is up. We'll fight tooth and nail about a flag, about a statue. We don't get any real, we just want like emotional shit. We don't want substantive, tangible assets that we can count or measure. Say what you will about Steve Harvey about being a damn photo op, all that shit. You might be right, but guess what? Steve Harvey getting into the housing and urban development and being able to affect a program whereby black people can become more homeowners would actually, that's a direct shot in the arm for us to create more black wealth. Because the first thing you create your wealth with is home ownership, which is what you said when you was talking to Angry Man, and Angry Man disagreed with you. But I agree. I think you do. If you give black people, if 70% of black people own their homes, the racial wealth gap would overnight would be cut in half, if not damn near, depending on where we live, would be probably, it would
well,
evaporate.
in regards to Trump, look, I don't get emotional about those things either. I mean, here's the deal. Donald Trump is a white supremacist, but Bill Clinton, I could argue, is a white supremacist. So this idea that you got to take who you're dealing with, and then it's okay, that's how they are. So let's get to the tactics when it comes to the money and the power. The criticism I have with, and let me be clear here, I'm not mad that I didn't vote for Donald Trump, but I'm not mad that Donald Trump won. I'm not. So this is not. I'm not one of these people where as soon as people say they are not throwing Donald Trump under the table or something, that I get out of pocket with them. I mean, I listen to Obsidian, and I don't agree with a lot of Obsidian says, but I still support Obsidian, and he's roll hum when it comes to Trump for different reasons, but the reasons why he supports Trump, I understand it. There's results that he believes he can get under Republicans that he knows he can't get under Democrats, and I agree he won't get those results under Democrats, like welfare reform and stuff like that, and I agree to that. When it comes to Steve Harvey, though, the thing that I don't like about Steve Harvey is Steve Harvey, what he was going up there for was symbolic. If Steve Harvey wanted to impress me, because it's easy to criticize somebody. If he brought somebody up there like Dr. Clark Anderson or Boyce Watkins or somebody that was an expert in finance or somebody that was serious about stuff like that with him, then I would have been a lot more comfortable with that. But a lot of people, let's be clear here, Steve Harvey's a coon. And I know what Steve Harvey does, his programs and stuff like that. But Steve Harvey's one of these people that sells black women lies, and one of the ones that he makes money off telling sisters bullshit. So
Hold on,
he's
hold on,
entrenched.
hold on, hold on, hold on. Okay, because I actually read most of that book, right? Not too long ago. There was some good principles in this damn book. I'm sorry. I know, guys, it's the cliche to go in, think like a man, you'll get fucked up. But I read the book. Now, I know the first thing people go to is the 30 to 90-day rule. But it's a principle in that rule that if you get a coochie up quick, we know the rules, man. That's an old
principles.
That's an old principle. So what I'm saying is, I read it, but I was like, well, shit, he making some good points about how men value certain things. If I give you my resources, that's how men show they look. I mean, a lot of shit he was saying was true. To me, I didn't see that as something that's bad. And when I hear the word coon, when I hear the word coon, I'm very careful, because it's kind of like when a black woman get mad, first thing they do is call you a damn homosexual, or first thing they do when you say, "Hey, I like this girl over," oh, you simping. First thing you do is say, "Hey, maybe I don't agree with Barack Obama." Oh, you're a coon. So I'm very careful with the word coon. Steve Harvey's been tagged a coon
I'm
for.
aware of that.
But
I'm
I'm
not
very,
one
hold
of
on, let me
those
say this. I'm very careful because I ain't gonna call him a coon for going to meeting with the man. I think his problem was his damn ego to feel like you're right. I can go and fix this program. Now, true enough, but we go get Dr. Claude Anderson, or we could go get Boyce Watkins, or whoever. But a guy like Steve Harvey is probably, and a lot of celebrities are very egotistical, and they think they got it all. They got it all figured out because I'm worth $100 million. And I personally know one of his best friends that crossed Q-Dog with him from Montgomery, Greg Calhoun. Him and Greg Calhoun are very close, and I actually met Steve Harvey at the Black Enterprise Conference, and Greg Calhoun was there. They do a lot of business now. Steve Harvey, he's not a slouch when it comes to business. I will give
I'm
him that.
aware of that. I'm not one of those people that just throw the term out there. When I throw it, there's a case that I can make, like a long case. I'm not looking at like one thing he's done, because I could have said that. I can say that about, if I was gonna, and most black people do overuse that term. So let me say that straight up. Like, women are quick. If I grab a woman's ass, a woman will say I raped her nowadays. So I hear what you're saying, but I'm not one of those people. If I use that term, there is a long, like, I can pretty much make an hour-long video as far as this is why I say that. I would have said that about Steve Harvey. And you can make an argument, and maybe he's not a coon, but he's a super simp. But I don't just throw words out. I don't just throw that. Me personally, when I use those terms, I use them for reasons. I don't use them just to throw them out because I don't like what somebody says. Because I could say the same thing about Obsidian or anybody else that voted for Donald Trump. I don't even necessarily say that about black people that voted for Donald Trump. I know why a lot of black people voted for Donald Trump and Hillary. So I'm not one of those political duality type of folks. But the thing about Steve Harvey is this: if Steve Harvey, if it was his, I'm not saying he should throw his money away for black people like he owes black people something. But let's be clear here: Steve Harvey is not a hard guy for them to buy off. I don't see a lot of daylight between a Steve Harvey and a Jason Whitlock. Steve Harvey has also said things
Okay,
like,
okay,
"I don't
okay.
give a fuck
Let's
about
look at Jason
slavery."
Whitlock. I love, we talked about LeVar Ball. I love LeVar
Oh, let
Ball.
me say this real quick. Steve Harvey said, "I don't give a fuck about slavery." You would never hear a Jew say that about the Holocaust and a Jew not be thrown, out of their community. You would never hear that. So this
Now
idea,
that was the most coontastic shit I ever heard him say. I will agree with you. Look, I'll toe the line when it's time. When it comes to shit like that, there's no excuse for some shit like that. Never.
because he went out his way to say that too. There's ways that he could have massaged it, where he could have kind of said kind of what you're saying, like slavery happened, but things happened to a lot of other people, and at some point, like, he could have took the Bill Cosby approach, where he just told the personal responsibility line. I'm not going to act like slavery didn't happen, but at the end of the day, we live in today's world in which, you weren't a slave. Like, you see what I'm saying? He could have said that. He went out of his way to say, "I don't give a fuck about slavery." And he's been in the media long enough to know, because he knows who his audience is. And, he's one of the people where he knows his bread comes from white people liking him. And it is what it is. I understand he's got to get his money. But I can tag you for a statement like that. And he's done other stuff like that. That's like one of the worst. But that's him meeting, even him meeting with Trump. I really don't care about that. Jim Brown met with Trump.
Jim Brown was a coon too. Let
No,
them tell it. Let them
I
tell it.
wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say it either.
Well, yeah,
But what I'm saying is Jim
there are people
Brown.
that say that,
Say what?
but there are people that say that, and you're right. People overuse that term, but there's a lot of black men that overuse that term. They use that as like a blow up argument term. So I'm actually not. I completely agree with you with that. I just wanted to establish, so because people don't know me, that if I use that term, there's a reason, and you're not going to see me throw that term out a lot, but because there's other words. You got words like simp and this and that. But Steve Harvey, I may not say I have a term called thundercoon, which is like somebody that they need to be dealt with immediately. I wouldn't put Steve Harvey in that boat. But Steve Harvey he's a mercenary. He's somebody that if it's him, or someone. He's not going to do what Colin Kaepernick did at all. Steve Harvey will lie
Colin
and do whatever he
Kaepernick,
has to do
Colin
to get the
Kaepernick
money.
got a hold of some good coochie. She was pretty. She got in his head, and Colin Kaepernick reminds me of the guy. You know how you go on Facebook and the guy becomes conscious, and as soon as he becomes conscious, every damn post he puts up, Toss said it is, and he putting every you could tell. Okay, this nigga watched a couple of videos on YouTube. He
You
is
know,
like
even
that.
if
That's
that's
where I
true,
saw him.
even if that's true, what I would say is when you actually remember what I said, that I'm a numbers person. When you look at the actual income that he sacrificed I could care less how he came down to it, because reality is nobody can put out anyone else. I don't care how conscious or how many years they put in. You can't show how much money they actually put down. It wouldn't even compare to Colin Kaepernick, the type of income that he can potentially make of lost income because he took that stand, and it did work. A lot of football players were I would never expect a player to sacrifice that much, by the way, either.
But
BGS
why?
Ignore
No, my
said
thing is, what did we get tangibly from that? That we can
it's kind of
hold on. What did we get tangibly that in 5 years it can be counted or measured?
change political statements like that, things like that. A lot of change happens off moves that start from that very thing. But what happens is you have to keep on the momentum. So everything is not going to always equal like a logical translation to this equals that. That's a part of politics. Now, I'm more of a money person. And my question would also be, okay, what is Colin Kaepernick doing behind the scenes, and what are black people doing to support Colin Kaepernick behind the scenes, as far as if he does need to eat, because it needs to be shown that
Kaepernick
we
ain't gonna
won't
get a
let
damn
people
thing from
fall
black
through
folks.
the safety
Black
net.
folks ain't gonna get him a damn thing. All they gonna do is make a few memes and posts and right on, brother. Now he
Well,
out
you're
here begging for another.
talking about the
Hold on,
average black
hold on. I'm
talk
finished.
business deal
Now
and
he's
stuff
out
like
here
that.
begging for another contract. He counted and he done woke up, so to speak, quote unquote. See, my thing is this: you
That's
could
your
be conscious.
opinion. I mean, what was he supposed to
Oh, hold
do?
on, hold on. Let me make a point. Let me make a point. You could be conscious. You could feel the way you feel. Nigga, get money. Get your money right. Get some. So and then take. It's like a fist with a mighty blow. Like you cannot. To me, making that point. If I'd have made that point like earlier in preseason last year, not this season, but last season when he did it. If you do that preseason and then he turns around and says, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and stand for the national anthem. But I would challenge all brothers making X over a certain amount of money within the league and the NFL, NBA. I would have named them by name if I was him. Now, I'm not one of those guys that say, hey, Jay-Z and Beyonce and all these celebrities. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is if I was in that position and I had ESPN every 5 minutes putting a microphone in my face, I would have challenged us to try to go out here and start some sort of credit union, just like, and I made a video about this, just like what's his face, Chris Paul and the LA Clippers a couple of years ago. I was like, damn, y'all gonna get this, another Jew's gonna come buy this damn team. Y'all ass gonna be right here, and in a few years, half y'all gonna be out the league and probably about to be broke. It ain't gonna help y'all to do a damn thing. Nobody's gonna help them. Donald Sterling's now is worth billions and billions more. He probably was a millionaire before they sold that damn team. Now he's a billionaire.
Yeah,
That
but
team was worth about 300-400 million. He sold that bitch for $2 billion.
that's kind of pocket watching though, because in my opinion, because the reality is when like I can break both of those things down. When you look at Colin, at the end of the day, when you look to see what I have noticed, and I'm not gonna put that on you, but what I have noticed is a lot of times black men, they start off with, do I like this nigga or do I not like this nigga? And then their arguments a lot of times are filtered through that presence. So let me give you an example. What you just did with Steve Harvey, because of like you have like second degree connections with him and stuff like that, you defended him versus
No,
Colin Kaepernick.
that was
It's
not
kind
it.
of like the opposite. And then when a lot of
No,
times
no, no,
with
no,
dudes
no,
that
no,
would
no, no, no. I think what I'm saying about this guy is nothing personal about. See, the other day I kind of felt like it was a little. I'm not gonna root for bad shit that happened to Colin Kaepernick. Kind of like how Angry Man was with Boyce Watkins. Like, oh, he messing up. Let me go find. I'm gonna do some research. Like, I'm not all excited because if his business is struggling, I'm not happy about this shit. Or if Colin Kaepernick, I want to see the brother win. But what I'm saying, because he had a lot of good shit. He was giving up his shoes. He was doing a lot of
He's
good
worth
things.
$40 million.
Okay, so what
So
I'm
he's not
saying,
losing.
hold on, let me make a point. So Chris Paul, okay, you got a multi-millionaire over the barrel for some racist statements. It's the middle of the playoffs. I'm saying that let's make a blow that is going to be something that can be measured and counted. It takes $150,000 to start a credit union. If you challenge this guy, he could probably say, look, it's one thing to get him to sell a team to another white man, and now everybody done moved on. It's still niggas out here can't get loans, struggling. We're still financially because to me, I'm a basing my whole argument on one principle. White supremacy strength is based on its economy. And if you are not going to deal with that principle first, then the rest of it is just like Dr. Claude when he builds his whole thing off of economy. So if we're going to deal with this, I'm dealing with economics. Even when I was talking about Colin Kaepernick, I was talking about economics. I was not talking about him and I don't like this nigga. Like I agree with you in certain instances where people like with the Boyce Watkins, I think that had to do with I mean, Angry Man just said he don't like him, basically. So he said, fuck it. So I ain't saying fuck Colin Kaepernick. I might be cool with the guy, but I'm dealing with economics first. That's why I like Boyce Watkins, because he's dealing with economics. Even if the shit is rudimentary, it's still some shit that a lot of black folks can benefit from, because a lot of us don't know what the hell a damn checking account is there half the time. So I'm just saying, I'm just trying to make that point.
Okay, so as far as Colin Kaepernick, you said I'm gonna connect that to the thing you said with Chris Paul and all them with the credit union stuff like that. Economics is one of the fundamental principles of money is are working together. Economics is trust. That's true for any economic system. If there's no trust, the economic system cannot work because there's no structure, right? So um when you ask me what Colin Kaepernick did, how does that translate to anything economically? Well, you can't start from 1 to 100. You have to build up to that. So if black people don't trust each other to stand up and take certain stands on certain things, like black people have to trust each other to stand together in that kind of fear zone. And what Colin Kaepernick did is when Colin Kaepernick took that stand, yeah, you may see it as just some, oh, well, I'm tired of black people getting shot and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, what he said is it's not just about how much money I'm getting and I'm going to let a system stand, which is based on white supremacy bullshit, just because I'm getting a couple of dollars. And a lot of black men will say, oh, well, he lost because of X, Y, and Z, versus there was a lot of other black men that looked at that coming up. And that builds up the momentum. See, you don't get to where Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James can work together on certain things unless somebody takes that first step. Now, it does not have to be exactly what Colin Kaepernick did. It could be what Marshawn Lynch did, where Marshawn Lynch retired on his terms, got his own company as far as beast mode, came back, got picked up to the Raiders, because you remember people were getting on Marshawn Lynch too, because Marshawn Lynch wouldn't play ball when it comes to him talking to the media, and they kept on coming at him for that. And it was, people didn't know if Marshawn Lynch would get picked back up, even though Marshawn Lynch had no reason he shouldn't get picked back up, and now he's on the Raiders. So my point is, those things where black men are willing to do that, I'm not saying to just throw your money away just because, but it does connect. And a lot of reasons brothers are afraid to do anything outside of what these white people want, like get their own shoe company, like what LeVar Ball did, is because they're afraid of how they're going to be punished. And breaking that fear,
I
throwing
think
rocks
you can
at
lasso,
glass
but you can't lasso. Hold on,
is
you cannot
important.
lasso. To me, this is me. I can understand like the brothers when they put the fist in the air in the Olympics and all that. I get it. Like there are certain moments in history where people did stuff, Muhammad Ali, and it was great. But what I'm saying is, and it's kind of like Jason Black. I'm not knocking people that made moves in the civil rights. There's a lot of stuff they did in the civil rights generation, sit-ins, and it had its place. But what I'm saying is we're at a point now where some shit like that, we're in a fast media cycle. Like Colin Kaepernick, right now, this season, when football season starts, nobody's gonna give a shit. If he's not on the team, nobody's gonna give a damn. This shit will be forgotten. Now there are a few kids. Hold on, let me talk. There were a few kids that saw him do his thing, and man, I like that. I get it. But for me, I'm saying that I would have taken it and took it full circle. See, full circle. Once you call yourself, see, I'm not conscious, right? I have no problem. I'm not conscious. I think a lot of that fake pseudo history and stuff that they be talking about with Mel, that stuff fake. But at the end of the day, I respect the principle.
It's not fake, but okay.
Say what?
It's not. I mean, I'm more of a business guy. That's why I follow Boys, Jason Black, and Dr. Clark Anderson. But all of them will like. Here's the thing. Let me clarify the thing with the conscious stuff. A lot of people see conscious through Umar, Polite, and all of them. A lot of them hustlers. Umar is kind of crazy. I wouldn't call him an outright hustler, but Polite is an outright hustler. That is a lot of these scholars and stuff like that. They have their place. They are just not the ones that need to be in the forefront because they're not the ones that are actually building the brick and mortar stuff. But they have their place. So, like, technically, Dr. Clark Anderson is conscious. Tariq Nasheed is conscious. It's just like how we talked about.
So to me, the definition of conscious to me is just not be a Christian and have something you believe in. Like it's so broad. It's kind of like. I don't know. It's like saying a real nigga on the street. So and so a real nigga. So and so a real nigga.
But that's why I anchor
real
it
nigga.
with
Like,
business.
no, let me make a point. You could be conscious.
That's why I anchor it with business.
You could be conscious and shit on black women. You could be conscious and think black woman is God. I'm just saying. I don't even like that term. Like, I'm sorry, I don't like it. Because to me, I'm gonna say this right here. I'm a Christian, right? So when a cat come at me on Christmas Day and tag me by the damn Christmas tree. Easter, I get tagged by the damn Easter bunny. Nigga, I know the Easter bunny ain't real. I know this pagan stuff. Okay, I get that. Like, why are you, like, I'm sorry. We spending so much time on frivolous, excuse my French, frivolous shit. Like, that shit is, to me, we spend so much time talking about I got a homeboy talking about every time he go to sleep, he leave his body. Like, niggas, and we still out here. To me, that shit ain't important.
I mean,
to me, it's not. I think when you come full, see, consciousness is a botanical term. Like I talked about earlier, it talks about a ability to adjust to stimuli. So if you are conscious, then you will adjust. You are not gonna keep coming out here with this same.
So I have a question for you.
30-year-old ass mindset.
For Christian to Christian, I have a question. I'm a Christian, but most Christians are just as full of shit as conscious people. Like, if you look at the prosperity gospel, here's a guy as a Christian. Here's a guy you will love. You will love this dude. I can already tell you right now you like this dude. His name is Myron Golden. You ever heard of him?
Sound familiar.
Myron Golden, this dude, he's kind of like BGS, but for capitalism and for wealth building, but with a Christian. Like, he's a Christian, unapologetically so, but he can literally rip the Bible up. Like, he can translate the Bible like it's Robert Kiyosaki translating business for business. Very smart person. I not say enough about this dude just to throw somebody out. So I know the difference between Christians that, like, pastors and stuff that really know what they're talking about, because I've been in the presence of those men, and then people that are like Creflo Dollar and do the prosperity gospel. So
hold on. I can't stand them prosperity gospel guys. I really can't.
I believe you don't, because most people that know legitimate business know how full of shit the prosperity gospel is. I'm gonna tell you.
What? Let me ask you this. Even outside of the stupid stuff he's saying, like $165 million jet, how much that jet? $65 million G6. All that dumb stuff he says and the little stupid fleshly things he'll say on the mic about when Eddie Long had his situation. That's my friend. You know, that type of dumb stuff he says. One of the things I have to respect these guys on, these prosperity guys on, if you listen to them, like if I catch a Creflo, like right now, once I became, I guess I'm gonna say it, cognizant or conscious of my blackness and my race-based consciousness sort of kind of turned on, I started thinking a little different. Like if I can listen to a TD Jakes and say, okay, this now he's not gonna give you the nuts and bolts because of them they don't have it. They just talking about.
Well, I mean, these dudes, when you look at how much money they have versus the value they give, they hustling. And the conscious community, when we look at the conscious hustlers, they want to be those people. So when they talk, so when you see a conscious dude, which usually they don't know what the hell they talking about, but they're trying to talk to you about you being a Christian, that's kind of like Bloods and Crips. They playing the same game, but they just trying to go against each other because they want somebody to do something.
I agree with you that most Christians don't know how to defend their faith. So when say something, somebody says something
too, but most black Christians don't even interpret the Bible correctly, because most black Christians will tell you that money is the root of all evil.
A second, no, it's the love of money that's the root of all evil. Putting money before.
But that's not what most Christians will tell you.
But
black Christians, I'm talking about specifically.
Well, it's the love of the scripture says it's the love of money is the root of all evil. Not money is the root of all evil. But I haven't needed any of these fellows to give me inspiration, guidance, or nuts and bolts know-how to accomplish anything. Okay? I'm not even a part of any of their communities, but I don't see how anybody would need to defend their faith to anyone. If that's what I believe, that's what I believe. And my belief.
Brown, the thing is, man, is this is the thing. Like a lot of people that are conscious nowadays,
particularly
they're very, a lot of them, like, for example, some of these Hebrew Israelites.
These Hebrew Israelites don't know what the hell they're talking about too. I just wanted to put that out.
The Hebrews, they don't, but the Hebrews will tag you on something. Because and then you get to the point like, look, man, just don't tag. You have to kind of like block these people out because they're very confrontational.
I know a couple of Israelites, and I check them.
You don't have to do.
I check them.
You don't have to do any of that because your belief is your belief and is your relationship with the Creator and your faith. Now, one thing that they don't understand, and they all will attack Christianity, because Christianity is one of the common things that most black people have in common. But one thing that they can't attack, and that you should never have to defend, because what they will do is they will take a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus and how this was used to manipulate black people, which is all true. Okay, it's not to be denied, or it can't really be denied. But what they will throw out with it is the whole message of faith and belief. Because once you have faith in something and you believe in yourself and you work towards it, you can accomplish it. See, that's what
it's a lot. You know what, Brown? Like, it's a lot of verses in the Bible. Like one of the least quoted. I don't make a point. One of the least quoted verses by a lot of Christians is "Faith without works is dead." Like you can talk about pray this and that. What did you do? Did you get your credit right? Did you get your tax returns together? Did you do everything you were supposed to do to have it together? God ain't gonna just come out here and just give you something. A lot of that is
before I found out who Myron Golden was, because I always try to find, somebody that can resonate with black people as close as possible. And I still use this guy. I love Dave Ramsey. When Christians tell me the money is the root of all evil in my family, I just shoved Dave Ramsey up their ass and told him, read this book and listen to this guy, because he speaks in a Christian vernacular, and they understood it because sometimes it's the way you have to articulate the message in order for them to understand it. So you have to kind of talk through a Christian language for them to understand it the way they interpreted the Bible. So here's the thing. No, you shouldn't have to defend your faith, but you should have to defend how you came to those conclusions, because that's the only way you get better. And what happens is with black people is Christianity has become, because let me tell you something, I'm a Christian, but when I talk about the government of the black church has failed black people immensely in the last 30-40 years. But that's different from you having a faith as a Christian as far as the personal part. And most black people can't separate the difference. So when you look at the people that went to church, they go to church now, if you go to average church and look at who's in there now, it's pretty much people reinforcing their own bullshit. Now, for instance, they'll talk about one thing that separates black people and white people in Christianity is black people believe in forgive, forgive, forgive. Forgiveness is not, the Bible has never shown that forgiveness is free. You usually have to pay a price for forgiveness. And the price is usually, I forget, repentance. But black people just say forgive, forgive, forgive. How does that translate? When we get shot by the police or black men get killed, who do you usually see? Black women talking about forgive, forgive, forgive. Now, if you don't know nothing about Christianity, you'll say, oh, well, that's because they're Christian. No, that's because they're dysfunctional black people, and they're using the Bible as a way to justify their bullshit, like somebody will use drugs to justify why they steal. That's not the Bible's fault. That's their fault.
That's why I had you on here, homie. Because that's what I'm talking about. I like that. Go ahead.
Bigger antidote to that, okay? When they speak of forgiveness, and the antidote is, and the wisdom is that carrying that anger around inside of you is going to end up doing you more harm than the person that you have anger or hate against. That's really what it's about. Not carrying that burden along of hate and of anger, because that has a way of destroying you from the inside.
I agree with that, but it's also not meant for you to just, it's not meant for you to carry that long term, but it's also not meant for you to sit there and just use that as an excuse for people to do you harm. I like to call myself an Old Testament Christian. That's why you had things like eye for an eye and stuff like that.
That's
but even in Matthew 15, when it talks about forgiveness, it tells you in Matthew 15. Hold on 1 second, Brown. Hold on, Brown. In Matthew 15, it says, if your brother hears you, then but he has to repent. It's not like
exactly. White people don't hear us. That's why they keep doing it.
And repentance is not, I'm sorry. No. Like when that guy shot those guys, I made a video about that. When that guy shot those people in that church, the black people, here come the media. Well, do you forgive? Hell no, I don't forgive. Lock his ass up, give him the jail. Hell wrong with you? Like, I hate to see that. Like, don't, and that's the thing, like it really does kind of, there's a hybrid.
That's black.
Like, I hate to see that. Like, don't, and that's the thing, like it really does kind of, hey,
that's black.
Hey, Mr. Black.
What's happening?
You got me playing in the background, man.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Yeah, and so I get Hotep. What Hotep people will do is they will use what I just said, absent all that nuance, and they will try to say the problem with the black community is Christianity. No, the problem with the black community is not Christianity. Christianity is just a way, because it's something we have in common, it's a way that it manifests itself. But Christianity is not the problem per se. Just like being
that's
a Hebrew,
the history. If you go back, hold on, that's a channel called the Jude 3 Project. And this sister, she got her game together, man. But if you go back and listen to her stuff, she's very, like, she goes and does a lot of church history. Right. She talks about what these black churches did around the turn of the 19th going into the 20th century.
Yeah, the black church was
and a lot of that stuff.
As far as Black Wall Street, the black churches were our original ways that black people pulled our money in Black Wall Street. It was a commonality. You went to the church when you wanted to when you wanted to hook in with people that had money and network with black people. You went to the church because that was people having stuff like that.
Black churches are still the place where money is pooled, except the pastor ends up with it.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm saying is, and see, that's the problem with a lot of black Christians is they can't separate criticizing the government of the church, the black church, from actually attacking someone's faith. And pastors like Creflo and TD Jakes will use that as a way to shield themselves when they're really, that's why I call it poverty pimping. They're stealing money from the black community, and white people are allowing them to do it because that's a way to kind of keep control. That's white people like Hillary. They love going to pastors and preachers. You notice that Donald Trump did the same thing. That white people love interfacing with black people through the church because they know most preachers that are successful like that monetarily are hustling like a motherfucker.
Well, there's plenty of white folks that do it too.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying there's not, but the difference is the way power is orchestrated with white people in regards to the church is different. They're not sucking out resources.
I don't know that it's
you go to a white church.
I
You
don't
go
know.
to a white church and you see.
I
Let
don't
me
know.
say this one thing. When you go to a white church or Catholic church or otherwise, you will see things like after school centers, daycare centers. The churches I go to a mixed church, and I can tell you the way they arbitrate their money is very different the way the typical black church does.
I can't speak on that with any type of real knowledge, but I know that there are black churches that do provide services to the community. I also
We're talking about the majority, though. I'm not talking like Dr. Kevin Crosby is one of the greatest black pastors out today. He literally reactivated a failing Black Wall Street with the strength of his church alone. Boyce Watkins is actually going to create it.
Hold on, Elwood. I want to interject something. I want to ask you a question. So
not trying to give my money.
this is the analysis. This is the analogy I always give. Like, if someone does something like when Creflo, when he did that $65 million jet, it made it around the world in like a day. Everybody knew, right?
He should have been shot.
But a pastor in a church that's a good father that doesn't cheat on his wife, that's doing good. Like, for example, even at the Potter's house, as much as we talk about TD Jakes, they do a lot of great stuff. I can send you a documentation.
They do
a lot of great economic things. So nobody's gonna take a bullhorn and go brag about
the money they get.
Nobody's gonna take a bullhorn and brag on their good church. When you live right, nobody's gonna brag on you. They're only gonna brag on that bad, the bad stuff. So Brown may have a point, and I think sometimes believers, we buy into the hype that the church is full of this, which it has a lot of stuff going on, but I'm not just going to throw it all out and say even a majority. We don't know that because I'm from Alabama. I've actually been in ministry. I've done ministry. I've been all over the world doing it. I know a lot of pastors. They're good people. They ain't out here trying to rape their people. They got their own jobs. They're not even trying to live off the church. They don't want any money.
I'm not saying it all.
I know about 10 people like that, but nobody's going to talk about it.
I will say this. Let me say this. I know that Noel Jones, the city of Refuge, does a lot in the community. That he was based on 99th and Hoover before they moved. But I'll add this, that if they could drive a Bentley, they could be doing more service to the community and less service for themselves and be happy driving a Cadillac. That they don't need, that they can fly coach instead of having an airplane. Jesus walked there.
And we agree. Here's the thing. I know that's why I gave you Dr. Kevin Cosby, because I don't like criticizing. This is one thing about me. I try not to criticize something without providing an alternative to what it should be. So people know that I'm not just throwing mud at something just because. Most of the churches you need to focus on
Yahshua himself said, don't follow a man. And every time I hear you speak, you're speaking of men. You're speaking of figures in the church that you're holding in adulation. Those men aren't any greater than you. Those men aren't looked upon by God or Jesus with any more power or any more strength or any more wisdom that you have.
I don't think he's saying
that. This original conversation was about money. And money is something real and does have a tangible impact. So when we get into it diverges to the church, but the reality is, I'm talking about tangible impacts and tangible consequences these people have for what they say and what they do, proportional to the power that they have, which is real because it's backed by the people that follow them blindly. And this idea that people didn't follow Eddie Long because of God. They follow Eddie Long because of Eddie Long.
Yeah.
Because if they followed Eddie Long because of God, Eddie Long would have got thrown under a long time ago. So this idea, that's one of the problems in the black church. We talk about God. God ain't in the black church no more.
And they're all
I'm just gonna say that. And y'all could front on that if you want to, but the capital really big.
None of them have any more power than God and the Creator. And you have direct source to tap into him all by yourself. You don't need them. And
again, we are having an economic conversation. So when we're talking about God, we're getting into the whole pepper.
Actually, what we're doing, we're mixing an economic conversation with the structure of religion and organized religion of how it pertains to the black community. That's exactly what we're doing. And you're trying, and you're
organized religion is a physical thing. It's not. See, you can take God. I can take God completely out of it. To be honest
No,
with you, we can talk about accounting and numbers.
I hear you mention a man 5 times. Every one time you mention God, you must
But
forgot.
Brown. I don't think he's saying that he worshiped this guy. He's saying that this guy. What we were talking about earlier was when when I met him or when I saw him, he was on Angry Man's channel, going back and forth with him and another guy about Boyce Watkins and Yvette Carnell and how the ideologies were different. And he was saying, well, you don't have to go with them. You can go with Jason Black. A lot of people go with different people on YouTube or even in churches or because I don't worship Jason Black. I think it's a flaws that Jason Black has, but I like Jason Black nonetheless.
Scripture speaks to developing your own understanding and developing your own individual unique relationship.
So why do you go to church?
I don't go to church.
Well, I'm talking about why does anybody go to church?
I don't know. You have to ask.
Because the Bible says the church is in your home.
You have
well,
to.
No, the Bible tells you, let us not give up meeting together.
Because Jesus prayed.
So you're commanded to go to fellowship as iron sharpens iron. So I get it.
Jesus prayed by himself in a closet.
Yeah, but you to say that the body of Christ does not need to meet together is kind of.
But you know,
it's not even a body. Then, really.
I'm not a Christian, and I don't mean to nitpick, but you're combining two things that really shouldn't mix together.
You see, this is what I'm talking about. See, understand.
You know what? And then
understand.
Maybe why there's so much dysfunction is because you have people combining economics with the church. You also
it's not. No, Brown. They're not combining economics. It's okay to talk about money. The Bible talks about money a lot. It's not that. The problem is they're talking about it like if you're a Christian, you're never going to go without money. You're never going to get sick. Everything you want is going to go right. They're giving you Santa Claus. That ain't God.
If you're a real Christian,
the prosperity gospel specifically does.
A real Christian like Job, you're probably going to face more trials and tribulations than the non-believer. You're probably going to get faced with everything in the world to question your faith. So I don't know what you're talking about. It just seems like everybody.
Brown, you coming with some real stuff, ain't? Are we not? It's not like we're being combative because I like what you just said.
You guys are combative, but you guys.
Brown, I'm not coming at you, man. We're not.
It's all right. It's not because I agree with what you were saying too earlier, but I listen to everybody and they move so far away. And I'm not a Christian, but I'm a believer. Okay, I'm a believer. And I'm not necessarily a Christian, and everybody has moved so far away from the scripture that you can interpret for yourself, okay? You can take the words back yourself, and you can expound upon it and study on your own, particularly with the internet. It makes it so much easier.
Well Brown, let me ask you this then.
I don't follow.
Keep talking, Brown. You keep talking. I
don't follow.
The Bible talks about the parable of the talents. The Bible talks about being the lender and not the borrower. As a Christian, there are certain principles and laws that God would have you to do with your money. You should not be a whore. You know, it's certain things you're supposed to do with your money. And if you follow those principles, Mr. Black, if you're still there, we talked about this not too long ago. If you follow those principles, you will be economically viable. Right, Mr. Black?
Yeah, I'm here.
I mean, if you know to pay yourself first every time you receive something and know how to save and invest and be frugal, I mean, you might not have that much fun all the time, but you know, and live a quiet life.
See, now you're talking about self-denial. You're talking about self-mastery.
What part of Christianity is self-denial and self-respect?
Exactly.
Because it's so easy to, and I've done it.
But if you love the strip club and you love eating out and you love, you know, it says do not love this world. If you're not in love with the world, you would have a lot of discipline to be able to do this stuff.
The world's out there tempting you and taunting you all the time. We live in a capitalist society that pushes.
Well, I think I think that Black people have two eternal conflicts, and one being Black folks are poor. We are a very, very poor group of people, and I don't think a lot of Black folks understand how poor we are. And then we have a culture. Huh?
Speak for yourself.
Poor compared to what?
Okay, we're poor in general. No.
Yourself.
Let me explain. No. Let me explain.
Speak for yourself.
No. Black folks as a collective.
So are you talking about for America or you talk about globally?
Let me explain.
Yeah,
For
go ahead,
Amer-
Mr. Black. Explain.
for America and globally, both. We're the poorest group of people in America currently today. Like the median, you got to understand, the median household wealth for Black folk right now is at best 11,000, but when you take out the family car and some of the consumer items, you're talking about $1,700. Okay, now this is the median. Now the median for white folks is about 140,000. Okay, now when you look at that, and the problem is that Black folks have a white culture, so we aspire to things that we really can't even afford. So, and we're robbing future generations. We're robbing future generations by thinking that we can spend money that we really don't have, even if you have a good income. And see, that's another thing. Income is not wealth. So a lot of Black folks running around thinking that, yeah, I make 50,000 a year, I make 100,000 a year, but you're still poor. It doesn't matter if you make $100,000 a year. I make well over 100,000 a year. I'm gonna be honest with you. I make well into the six figures.
The whole system is built on each and everybody, regardless of your ethnicity, of trying to have more than you can afford. That's what credit and interest is all about. That's
what I'm telling you is you see, the system is built on an American median, right? So what we aspire to, the problem with Black folks is that we're aspiring to a median.
It's not limited to Black people. Go ahead.
No, I know it's not limited to Black folk, but what I'm telling you is the median household wealth of white folks is 140,000. The median household wealth of Black folks is $1,700. So what I'm trying to tell you is what we are aspiring to. When we look at the commercials,
right?
The commercials are based on.
You're talking about wealth is like your net worth. That the average white
exactly.
There's probably truth there.
So what I'm telling you is when we're looking at commercials, when we're looking at houses, when we're looking out into the world and the things that are advertised to us, they're not advertised for the median household wealth of the average Black family, even though we participate. But the thing about it is they're advertised for the median household wealth of the average American family, which is the average white family.
Well, of course.
Okay, so let me explain something. So when you're talking about generational wealth, Black folks, we're operating as if we're white, but we don't have the same assets and the same amount of wealth that the people that we're trying to aspire to be like. Even just with our celebrities, we're aspiring to be these people, and we're aspiring to live according to these lifestyles. But most Black folks are poor.
That's a mistake. My experience is different, and I know why. Having lived, and I'm 54 right now, so many of my friends, their parents are passing away or they're getting very old. Okay. And because just alone of the values of properties, okay, and these were working people, some of them were professionals, but just a working person, okay, that had one property or two properties. I know brothers and sisters that are whose parents were not rich, but just went to work every day and raised their families and bought homes and continued to pay bills, that they're fighting over sometimes estates of $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, sometimes even more.
A lot of that is the boomers. The baby boomers do have that kind of wealth. But I'm talking about the average American Black family.
Would listen to what I was saying. My experience is different. Okay. So, and I've been through it myself and my family. So you have, just because of property values alone and the way they've escalated it, where they haven't escalated like that in the South, or they haven't escalated it in many places, but in some places that they have, just through that alone, and I can't even say it creates generational wealth, because some of them are fucking the money off fast as they can get it, because they didn't earn it. So my experience is a little bit different. I'm seeing Black wealth.
Yeah, I'll jump into this in a second.
I witnessed that, and I witnessed a lot of it going to waste. where the parents were frugal, and now the adult children are inheriting and spending like wild people. But it's a different experience than when you guys speak of these generalities of po-ass black people. I have a different experience.
I
But
agree with him on that, but I'll jump
not
in
even
in a
close.
minute.
It's not even close when it comes to black wealth. Black wealth is dwarfed by white wealth. It's not even close.
I'm not saying that's not true. I just said I have a different experience.
Okay.
Well, it's always going to be aberrations and anomalies in every situation, but that doesn't make.
Okay, can I jump in here for a second?
But when it's your experience,
Here's the thing.
The other people are the aberrations. The other people are the abnormalities. When it's your experience and it's your associates and your peers and your cousins and your relatives, it's the norm.
No, it's anecdotal, man. When you say that's an anecdote.
No, it's a reality.
I mean, it's a reality, but it's anecdotal. Like,
so you can be. So let me ask you this: which would you rather be?
I mean, of course, I'd rather have more wealth. But what I'm saying is to say that something is the norm because it happens to you is not statistically possible. It's just that's not even how statistics.
But it's the norm with my group.
No, I get that, but you're older than me, slightly, not that much older than me. So
even poor folks, even relatively poor folks that lived in modest homes that are paid for, that are worth $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. People are cutting up a pretty nice pie. People are fighting over it.
You talking about $500,000? Yeah, they'll fight over that.
Oh, they'll fight over a quarter.
Exactly. They'll fight over 100. But what I'm saying is that's not. I'm just saying black people are financially messed up. I don't even think that's something that it's even a discussion, really. I mean, I think if you agree with me, everybody on here should agree with that.
But you know what? The only thing that you can do about that, instead of talking about it all day and all goddamn night, like I hear people do with all these stats and all these figures, don't be fucked up financially yourself. That's the only thing you can do. And people are on these damn airwaves talking constantly, putting black folks down about how fucked up and how horrible they have it, when you could be doing something about your own situation that you're not part of the goddamn problem.
Well, sure. I mean, it's a twofold problem, though.
But I don't hear that.
But blacks, listen.
I've made 40, 50 different videos about how to make money, and so I'm with you, though. I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm all about getting stuff done. But what I'm saying is,
you could do all of it without a YouTube account. You could do all. You could do all of it on the low.
No, but I'm good.
I care about my people. So I care about my people.
Yeah. This is not about me. Like, I'm financially good. I'm good. Me personally, I'm good. I'm talking about in general. I'm talking about, it's kind of like this. At the end of the day,
talk about them po ass niggas over there.
No, what I'm saying is this is black folks in general. This is our people in general. Like, this is where we are. Like it's kind of like this. Okay, we know that.
For real for a moment. The first thing some black folks with some money is gonna do is gonna get the fuck away from the po ass black folks, because the po black folks will try to take your shit. That's a reality. They're gonna derail you. They're gonna take your shit. They're gonna steal from you. The first thing the folks do is get up and away. And don't even associate that much with poor black folks. There's a problem there.
Hey, if I throw you off the Titanic and you drowning, and another dude got a life raft, what you gonna do? You gonna grab that life raft, right? That's what a lot of black people. When you see stuff like that, it's not because a lot of black people are what we all agree they are. So you're right.
Yeah. So that's just the reality of it. So the majority of the black folks that have so-called part that hasn't. Sometimes they do it out of disdain and greed and looking down, but the reality, because I don't think like that. I like to help folks. I like to make something. But the reality is, if you got something and you're around some po ass niggas, they're gonna be plotting and trying to take everything. That's the reality.
Yeah. All right. Can I know I've been kind of quiet, The last dude that was talking, the dude that was talking about, the poor ass niggas. I actually agree with almost everything you had to say. One of the things I wanted to piggyback off of it is a lot of that Yvette and Tone talk kind of, I don't want to say it's garbage, but it's completely misconstrued. People talk about we have no wealth or we are not poor and income is not wealth and all this stuff. You got to understand that most people that buy into that stuff, most of those people don't have a lot of financial literacy information. The stuff we were talking about, even the few business principles we were pulling out of the Bible, most of them don't know shit about that. They don't have that type of even basic understanding. If you look at financial literacy, like the ability to read, write, and count, like the ability to count, reading literacy,
You know where a lot of that comes
they
from?
don't have it. So they soak up all the stuff when they want to talk about the
Right.
data. Anyway, what are you saying?
No, but most of that comes from when I was a kid. I would go around with my grandfather and collect the rents, and he'd be explaining this shit to me.
You're right. It's passed down.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that you learn. It's something that you learn from your folks. Financial literacy. If you're the first, the pioneer in your family, you don't know that much.
I love that you say that because that type of stuff is not taught in school. And that's one of the biggest reasons there's differences because some groups are better at passing it down than others. I mean, we know what other ethnic groups are good at doing that. And a lot of people have this kind of finite duality kind of thing where if I'm saying that it's a personal responsibility element, then I'm therefore discounting all of the stuff I talked about before anybody else got on the call, where we were talking about the stuff that was done to us. I'm not discounting none of that, but at the same time, this idea that that may affect where you start, but that doesn't affect. Well, in a way, it can affect your velocity. A lot of people are making excuses for things that they really don't know nothing about, and that's where I agree with the guy that was talking about, the last person who was talking, because when people talk about these same talking points of wealth and income and all of this, these are not the same people that I can actually have a conversation with about how to start a business or what are some very smart business principles. They're just parroting arguments. That's all y'all are really doing.
Haven't
The
given it,
people that want to argue that way.
they haven't given it any thought, and they don't. And a lot of them don't have any practical experience. And you also have to realize this as well, that the economy has been, after it collapsed in 2008 and hasn't really rebuilt itself. It's rebuilt itself in a different type of way.
Exactly.
Here for younger people. So you have a full almost 10 years. So someone from their 20 to 30 and hasn't been able to experience any really boom time. They're struggling like hell, working minimum wage jobs, barely getting a chance to get ahead. And
Let's not count how much student debt is, and you're sold the idea that a college education is a ticket out. What they don't tell you is back in the day, everybody didn't have a degree, and that may have been more true back in the day, but now everybody has a degree. Most people have overpriced degrees because they're overpriced. They're not going to be useful in about 5 or 10 years because they're just going to mine the new people that are graduating for new information and replace the ones. They're replacing people faster and faster. Let's not
Well,
even get
well,
started.
let me add this. Today I got a house I'm trying to close on, right? I'm trying to get a plumber to go do some pressure testing on the damn gas line, right? I called all day. I couldn't find nobody.
wow.
I guarantee you, in the way they were talking, I guarantee they wasn't college educated. None of them. All white boys. All of them had 3 and 4 trucks. All had CBs, like
Yeah.
CB rated. I'm like, damn.
And a plumber.
You wonder how these white people are so economically ahead. They
Because
saved on a dime on shit.
I
Niggas
can
won't go to school for no damn. I know 2
and
niggas.
that's
Hold on, let me finish this point. I
can
know
think of
2 niggas that I know that do HVAC, and I call their ass. They ain't doing shit. They sitting around the house watching TV. Them niggas ain't show up. We was gonna pay their ass tonight to finish that shit off. They didn't even show up. Now the white man coming in the morning.
yeah, and here's another thing too. White boys are very good about when it comes to inside baseball, about telling them about those kind of high level blue collar jobs. Like when you look at those oil jobs overseas and stuff like that, they very good about making sure when I say making sure a white person get in that slot, they're very good about making sure a white person knows that information first.
Or,
And they a couple of contractors they're black that wind up in there, but that's
or the fire department.
yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty exclusive. People give those jobs nepotism and the people that they know, and you have a lot of nepotism, and yeah, so that goes on.
Yeah, and so a lot of times they don't outright deny you the job. There's levels of bullshit. And then if you get past all that, they'll say, okay, we can use one Negro in here because we ain't had one in a while in case they throw the race card at us. So yeah, we can let you in here if you're vetted the right way. I met an airplane pilot for Delta. The guy's black, 23 years old, out of Atlanta. And, I met him because I had to drive somebody somewhere. This dude was already an commercial pilot for Delta, non-military. He comes from a family of black pilots.
Right.
Parents got money. Parents are major endowment people for I forget what that school is called, but it's the Bethune HBCU, the one that was famous for throwing the ball under the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my point is, when black people get past those barriers, and one thing he told me was he out of 14,000 pilots, he's one of 82 black pilots.
Yeah,
So I get the structural stuff. Go ahead.
I've ever seen a black pilot, so yeah, I get your saying.
Yeah, and the only reason he got in was because of it wasn't even so much because who his family was, because his brother's a pilot and his parents got money. Because he was telling me it costs $100,000 to get this flight time. And everybody that I've talked to when I bring that dude up, and I got his phone number by the way, because you got a network when you meet people like that, is they look at me like I'm crazy. Like white people look at me like I'm lying. And then when they ask me some questions, if they know about like the airplane industry, that I can tell by the answers I'm giving them, they still kind of give me the side eye, but the answers are just good enough because they're based on what he told me. They say, oh, I can see that. Even though they think it's really hard because they're like, well, how do you get the flight time? Well, yeah, he told me that his brother was a pilot and his father was a pilot. He said, oh, okay. And he said it was like $100,000 just to start being a pilot. He said, oh, so he must have knew somebody to get in like when he was really, really early. And then it was like, oh, okay, you ain't lying because you wouldn't know this kind of information if you were just making that up. I could see the look in their eyes and they start to believe me. So, you know.
I'd say he's fucking a fat white bitch over there at the damn place where they're giving him the hours. She's giving them free hours.
It's a sister that's a black female pilot too. But my point is, that's inside baseball. But a lot of dudes that come in and talk about, oh, it's not wealth. The reality is, as a man in the starting point, if you are coming to me talking, there ain't no wealth, it's woe is me, and you a grown man, I'm like, get the fuck out of my face because you're already done. What I want is a man to say, look, I don't know. What do you know?
Panels to listen to these shows because my experience is different and my reality is different because I've helped make it different. These people bullshit.
Yeah, well, see, when I'm talking about wealth, I'm talking about reality. And I think what a lot of black people have got caught up into is inspirationalism and emotional escapism. And we buy into things that are not based in real facts. And that is a problem, even if you are well off. Because the thing about it is, even if you're well off and you're not adhering to the truth and the reality of our current situation, then what you'll do is, in my opinion, you will overspend. You will spend generational money for the right now, thinking that you got it like that when you don't have it like that.
Well, I agree with that, but black women do that more than black women have that problem a lot more than black men. Black women are far more susceptible to the sensationalism than what black men are. Now, that's not to say black men are not susceptible to that, but black women will reject reality for like feelings that feel good. Black men, for the most part, if you show them some real shit, they will respond to the real shit. They may ask qualifying questions to make sure you know what the hell you're talking about, but once you answer and you can give tangible responses that move them forward, They're
Well, I mean, I look at just even some of our celebrities, you know what I mean? And I look at some of the purchases that they, that they indulge in. And I look at some of the things that culturally we accept as norms. Now, I know a lot of this is a little bit cliche, but at the same time, a lot of black folks, matter of fact, I went to a school because I'm doing a literacy challenge at a school where I'm helping kids get their reading and writing scores up to adequate level. And one thing that the liaison for the Obama's My Brother's Keeper initiative told me was that you have kids in a high school in Fifth Ward. Now we in Fifth Ward that will save up all of their money. Right? They're working at McDonald's, getting minimum wage jobs, and they'll save up and buy $400 and $500 Gucci slippers.
Okay, that's a culture issue. So those are the same black people who tell you they ain't got no money.
But this is my point. This is where black folks are at. So I can't speak for a collective of people unless I speak as if I'm speaking to where they are, not where I am. Okay, this is not where I am. I'm actually in a position to help these people, and I want to help these people. But my point is where we are as a collective. This is where we are. We have
At some point, you got to answer the question when you're done talking about how bad it is. At some point, you got to get to, so what do we do about it?
No, but listen to what I'm saying. I don't think black folks are accepting where we are first. Accepting where we are. Listen. We have to accept where we are in real terms. It's so many black people living vicariously through inspirationalism.
Let me say it this way. For the black people, this is another thing that you have to accept, that it sounds like you haven't accepted this. Most black people ain't gonna make it.
No, I've accepted this. But what I'm trying to tell you, listen to what I'm saying though. Listen to what I'm saying. It's not about most black people aren't gonna make it. What I'm telling you is until we can deal with the facts, we won't even know if we can make it.
Why? No, because here's the thing. When I say what I say, I'm not looking to convince anyone. I'm looking for the people that are already pre-engineered for what I'm trying to say. So if you want to believe, you want to live vicariously through people, Darwinism is going to handle that. You save who you can. I'm not saying fuck everybody. I'm not saying that. You reach as far down and as much as you can, but at some point you got to understand that it's the law of diminishing returns. It's just not going to work out because the damage is already done. Actually, going back to Boyce Watkins, that's one thing why I do respect Boyce Watkins, because Boyce Watkins tries to talk to a lot of the kids too, and a lot of people like what we've all agreed on, which is a lot of this stuff is passed down. Boyce is trying to do that, and I think an infrastructure to help a lot of the younger folks when it comes to business literacy, because let me tell you something, reading and writing and being able to count is fine. Floyd Mayweather, people want to make fun of him saying he can't read. Let's say that's true. Man's worth $500 million. So let's see which one's more valuable, the ability to read or the ability to be business literate.
Well, I hope he keeps that $500 million. He's been making
he can keep it. Like Floyd would have lost his money by now because it's not like he's constantly bringing in money. So Floyd has already demonstrated he understands how to use his money.
No, he's been constantly bringing in a lot of money. I want to see how his money.
That's probably the worst example of money management. That idiot.
Yeah, because that guy got $1.2 million cars. This guy, like to me.
Okay,
no. Floyd, go read the Black Enterprise that he was in. Floyd is very
first of all, Black Enterprise is a wreck, by the way. Like I don't like Black Enterprise because they're very anti-black male. So for me, fuck Black Enterprise. Like it's that it's a lie. That's another thing you talk about realities.
Floyd Mayweather will take 2015 Rolls Royce that's paid for, and he will trade it in for a 2017 and get pencil whipped to death with all kinds of fees and everything else just because he wants it. He does that often.
I'm saying Floyd Mayweather is the best example, but at the end of the day, I think Floyd Mayweather is in control of his own destiny, which is a lot more than most black men can say.
This is what I'm saying. I think time will tell on Floyd Mayweather. You got to understand, Mike Tyson was worth a couple $100 million too. And
I
The difference is the difference.
My point is this. Hold on, let me get my point real quick. My
hold
point
on.
is,
Hold on. Let me tell you something. A long time ago,
Floyd just retired. Hold on.
I remember the year that Mike Tyson made $50 million, like in 1987, and I'm in my 20s, and my friend was 20 years
Don
old.
King had his money though.
I said, Mike Tyson, man, god dang, he's gonna be rich forever. Them white folks helped set him up. He started this annuity. He did this. He put this money away. My friend said he gonna end up broke and probably in prison because he's a damn fool. And I was like, dang, what a fucking cynical thing to say. He said all boxers end up broke. They all get manipulated and used and worn out by hangers on and everything else. And it usually works out true. There's very few. And you're starting to see a few of them now.
Hold on, Brown. But therein is when we talk about, that's like talking about a guy that's playing in the NBA, he getting 70, 100 million, and then the guy that owns the team and he's getting 400-500 million. Floyd Mayweather is unlike a lot of boxers.
Yeah.
Because Floyd, hold on, he got his Mayweather promotions. That Mayweather promotions, it owns. He is a heavy hitter because he got out from around the Jews. Bob Arum got out from under him, and he started building his own brand and got his.
Mike never did.
He's a little different. He's a little different than your average.
Never did, and most of the boxers never did. So to even bring up Mike as a comparison, see, that's the type of stuff I'm talking about.
No, my point is this. I'm saying that Floyd Mayweather just retired. He's been making consistent income. The same thing what we were saying about Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was the man until he stopped being able to box. That's when we saw Mike Tyson fall off. We didn't see him fall
off. Floyd, I could tell just by that statement you made, you don't know where all of Floyd's money comes from. Like Floyd has fighters. Floyd,
yeah, I know. Listen,
fights. So
I know exactly. Listen to what I'm saying. What I'm telling you is, yes, he has fighters, but Floyd has made he's made a lot of money for his fights, his personal fights. I don't know what his business acumen will be.
The best
thing he's already proved his business acumen.
That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Floyd has going for him is that his promoter and his business dude that he's tied into is Al Heyman, fucking brilliant as compared to a motherfucker slick talking like Don King, bless his heart, who's also a brilliant.
And then as much as these white people hate Floyd Mayweather, they still fuck with him. Floyd Mayweather has not been blackballed for boxing. That's a big reason why
he's gonna pull another 100 million to go out there and beat up on that.
But here's the thing with that fight, though. You got to ask yourself, who really benefits more from that fight, like long term? Is it Floyd or is it like the UFC? So that's kind of the quo that a lot of black people don't pay attention to, and that's why because Floyd has said some borderline coonish shit too, but I've let it slide. Floyd has said some stuff when you let it talk, but I let it slide because they can't stand him. So I let that go because Floyd has made his money off being the black man that they hate, which is genius. But my point is, LeVar Ball is the difference with Floyd Mayweather and LeVar Ball is Floyd Mayweather is kind of on the other side of that bridge. What we have to LeVar Ball, just like Floyd made it with not being defeated, we have to see, what happens. And I'm rooting for LeVar Ball, but we just got to see. But like, if you want to talk about athletes, I mean, there are Kawhi Leonard. Marshawn Lynch is a good example. Stephon Marbury is a great example. There's better examples than Floyd if we want to talk about actually, business acumen. But you gotta.
Therein when you start talking about sports, therein, and I know this, like we always talk about pocket watching, but
that's 1,000.
When it comes to the black athletes, right, I feel like there are certain things that it's like a lot of them get in and they get into this certain lifestyle. And they're comfortable. They're not thinking long term. A lot of them don't.
They think income is money. They don't know the difference between income as well. I mean, you see the ones like I live in North Carolina. Charlotte Hornets, Jamal Mashburn.
And that's my point.
Franchises.
That's my point with the income and the wealth conversation. And that's the reason why I keep reiterating what I have been reiterating, the fact that black folks as a collective are a poor group of people. And the income that we're making, even if we're making the same thing that our white counterparts are making, if we're not stashing away more than them, we're losing. Because we don't have what they have.
What you don't understand about what you are saying is that if you talk to a 15-year-old boy that's going into a male versus that, is that really where you would start off first? By saying all the shit that you don't have, or are you gonna try to pour the
No. I listen, let me explain something to you. I think from my perspective, when I have children, my children are gonna know the facts, because I believe black folks have not known the facts, and I think a lot of our problems is because we don't deal with factual information. We deal with a lot of emotional escapism.
And you're kind of doing that smoke and mirror thing too. Like, here's the
no, I'm not. Let me explain what I'm saying. Let me finish my point.
Down on it. All right.
My point is like, if we don't deal with the facts, then what's going to happen is we're going to end up inadvertently robbing future generations. What I'm saying, in order for us to fix the problem that we're in right now, black folks need to know where we are. Yeah, it's kind of like having a budget. Let me explain. Well, listen, I'm a budgeting guy. Like, I'm the type of guy who knows where every single dime of my money goes. And guess what? I also live off less than 50% of my income. You know, okay? So you're talking to somebody who budgets heavily. And the reason why I budget that way is because I know that, yes, I'm probably doing pretty decent right now. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I know that I'm trying to set up, for one, a legacy. For two,
what's the guy's name? This T. What's his name, sir?
That's Brown. Brown.
All right, sir. I got a question for you. Remember when you told me, you just said like 20 minutes ago, how you had to collect rents from your father?
I used to go with my grandfather when I was a kid.
Grandfather, did he tell you how fucked up shit was for black people when he was teaching you about budgeting and teach you about those rents? Or did he teach you about those rents?
No, he was talking about how much he paid for the place, how much the place gives him, how this guy's trouble, this guy's no trouble, how this motherfucker's always late. Yeah. But
he didn't have to always tell you about, well, you got to understand, most black people don't know shit, and they don't have the reality.
No, that's not what I said. That is not what I said. You're completely, and on top of that, it's all about appropriation.
I get what you're saying. Those that are doing, they're not worried about the whole problems of the collective.
Exactly.
No. Well, this is what you're not understanding. This is what I'm doing. I don't have, listen, I'm not in that situation personally, but that does not mean that I don't accept the fact that the reality of our people is what it is. It's two things.
Hold on, Mr. Black, let me help you a little bit. Okay. I listen to Mr. Black's videos. Mr. Black is a statistics. Go watch his videos. Black men taking back our community. But very deep. Let me make my point. The thing is, this brother's, he's real deep, very statistical. In light of what he's saying, it motivates me to go after my business more so. I think that's to bring it on home. I don't think you guys are opposite at all. I just think
it does not. I'm telling you what it does with our people is it has people do what they're already doing, which is have them say, fuck it, particularly with black men, and say, fuck it, white supremacy. Why should I try?
So I don't even believe in white supremacy.
Listen, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, but I don't believe in white supremacy. I don't believe in white supremacy. I believe in a wealth gap. Listen, I believe in a wealth gap because a wealth gap exists.
So where did the wealth gap come from?
The wealth gap came from stolen resources over years, and it came from white folks outproducing black folks in many ways. It's twofold.
No. It ain't that's what. Okay, I got it now. I know who I'm dealing with now. Okay, good. I'm glad.
Listen. Whites, on average, are more. They produce more than black folks on average. This is just off top. Second of all, Black folks have lost a lot of our wealth. You got to understand. You got to look at the special field order. Listen, hold on, just listen real quick, brother. You gotta listen sometimes. Listen, have you heard of the special field order number 15?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
40 acres and a mule.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, that was General Sherman gave black folks 400,000 acres of land. Now, this is prime real estate. This is over by Savannah, all the way down to Florida. Okay, that whole coast, tons of islands, 400,000 acres. Right. This is prime real estate today. Listen to what I'm saying. This is worth probably billions of dollars today. Now, we lost this land.
How?
Okay. How? Because President Andrew Johnson repatriated the Confederate soldiers.
Right.
So what happened was we fought to get this land. Now we fought in the Civil War to get this land. President Andrew Johnson repatriated these soldiers, the Confederate soldiers who weren't able to own this land at that time. And when he did that, they took the land back. And not only did they take it back after we cultivated it, but they made us work the land as sharecroppers.
But there's no
land that we own
premise
that they took.
They did.
So my question, I got a question for you. Since you don't believe in white supremacy, so you're telling me, because let me give the definition. Hold
on, if that what he just described, if that ain't white supremacy, I don't know what the fuck is.
No, what that is theft. That is theft. No. That is theft. No. Let's not magical. Let's not make this magical. Let's not make this. No.
Legalizes theft by white people.
No, let me explain something to you. Listen, let me explain something to you. At the end of the day, they did what they could to a vulnerable group of people at that time. And we decided tomorrow to take it back, and we had the arms, we had the resources to do it, we could do it tomorrow. I don't believe that it is a supreme group of people. Listen to me. It is not a supreme group of people. What it is one group of people. Listen, one group of people have balls, they have money, and they have resources and guns to defend it. That's it. That's the only difference.
Okay, sir. Explain to me South Africa if that's what you want to talk about.
Let me explain. People, what happened in South Africa? Listen, let me explain. You got to understand, in Africa, they hadn't built two-story buildings. These people didn't even know what a wheel was in Africa. You understand what I'm saying? You're dealing with a people.
What did you just say?
Wait a minute. Hold on, man. Hold on.
Cancel it. You got 4 minutes to get your point out. And then I'm off.
Hold up, man.
Because I'm not going to get
We're not going to do that. We can't do that, man. We can't.
No, I'm telling you, because I done let it talk. And I had a police officer right outside of my fucking car. That's why I stopped talking for those minutes.
You see what I'm saying?
So
this is what I'm talking about. Emotionalism.
Let you talk.
Let's just deal with the facts.
And then I'm talking. So you go. You got your thesis. I'm clocking you. I got my timer on. Because all you
adhere to your
timer. Me with bullshit.
No, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just talking.
Nothing.
You don't listen. Black folks let me explain something to you.
That's not true.
He was talking about all groups, and he was saying that there were certain people, not everybody in Africa didn't have.
That's what he said.
Hold on, let me get a point out.
Let him talk.
Hold on. We can't get a word out, man. I'm gonna have to stop muting people. What I'm saying is, he was saying, hold on, I just spoke with him about this before. He was saying that there are certain groups that were like that. Not everybody in Africa didn't have a will.
You know what? Not cleaning up what he said. What he said was
okay. Tell him, Mr. Black. Tell him what you were saying there, because I already talked to him before about this.
He said them niggas in Africa didn't know what a wheel was, and then white people came and knew what a wheel was. Listen.
Listen. Let me explain something to you. Africa, what I call the metaphorical Garden of Eden. Okay, Black folks didn't have to do a lot of things to survive in Africa. It's not that Black folks were that we were inherently just we weren't capable of building over two-story buildings. We just didn't have a need to do this because of the way that the landscape was. We just didn't have to do it. a lot of the innovation that we see in South Africa
Let's
today.
talk.
Let me explain something to you. This is just the facts, man. You can hate it all you want. I hate it, but it's the truth. A lot of the innovation that came to Africa, when you're talking about buildings, when you're talking about economic investments, a lot of that came from those white folks with apartheid. These are just the facts, man. You cannot like it.
Okay, dude.
Listen, let me explain something to you.
Why do you keep saying, let me explain something? Like, that's what's pissing me off, because what you're doing is it's like you're the only one.
No, I'm just listening to, because you're cutting me off, brother. You're cutting everybody off. This is what you're doing.
Oh my God. All right. I have not talked for damn near like 20 minutes.
Mr. Black, talk. Yeah. Well.
No, my point is you're not saying shit. You keep saying, listen. And I'll let you talk 5 minutes. I'll say something. Listen. What you keep doing is you keep trying to rewire what you're saying. So it's trying to fit a fucking square in a circle hole. Let's be clear here. What you're saying makes a lot of sense if you don't know who the Moors are, if you have no idea what the global black history are. Let me make this absolutely clear. Black people pull fucking white people out of the dark ages. There are real life castles in Europe that are Moorish that prove this.
Yes,
this idea that you keep on making like black people didn't know what a fucking everything white people know of is because of us. That if you want to talk about specifically with the South Africans,
you're talking about South Africans. South Africans are not Moors. They're not Moors.
What you said.
Time out. Stop for 1 second. I want you guys to hear this. This is crazy. This is going to change the discussion a lot. Not just this discussion, but overall discussion. Listen to this shit. This is breaking news out of Newsweek. The first human ancestor came from Europe, not Africa. 7.2 million fossils indicate. That's new.
Okay, and they'll find a new one tomorrow.
No, they've never found one out of Europe. Each one that they found, they would date it back 4 million, 5 million, 6 million years. They were all found in Africa, all found around within 200 or 300 miles of Ethiopia. Usually right around Ethiopia. This is the first time they found old fossils like this, indicated, and that said they have this type of age here in Europe. This is big. This is big. Now,
yeah, that is big. That is big.
That's gonna fuck up a whole lot of conversations.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so I'm supposed to rewrite everything I said because of the news story.
No. I'm just taking some news, throwing it into our conversation. We all have listened and heard a lot of the same people. Some of the, you could go as far as calling some of them black supremacists. What does this throw into the gumbo pot of that part of the foundation is the first man is black, the first man is from Africa. That's accepted by scientists all over the world. In fact,
Brown, you sound muffled. We can't hear you.
Yeah, it's my headset.
Okay, and now we're kind of steering away from what the point of the argument was. Like,
we're not getting anywhere with this conversation.
Oh, cool. I'd rather Brown do that than everybody cuss and scream. Like, we're not
like, man.
We're not getting anywhere with this conversation.
Brown, I can't hear you, man.
The conversation is getting a little adversarial, and I just thought this.
Okay, well, I want to get to my point. Any black person that talks about they're the arbiter of reality, and then we'll turn around and say that white people will not work together to maintain their collective wealth, that is an oxymoron in the very definition.
No, it's called nuance. It's called nuance and being able to read between the lines and connect dots.
Is they like to talk about the facts like you have the exclusion over what the facts and the stats are.
My point was the Moors. Listen. My point was that Moors were not South Africans. They were North Africans.
I didn't say they were, but my point was that's not what you said. Now you're trying to clean it up.
No, I'm not trying to clean it up. You're just jumping to conclusions, brother. This is what you're doing.
There were 5,000. There have been 5,000 known African cultures, different people, different technology, different advance. So whichever one he might have been talking about does not necessarily mean that the Moors didn't conquer Europe for almost 1,000 years.
Yeah, the Moors were North Africans. They were North. What I'm talking about are the South Africans, sub-Saharan Africans. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the Moors.
So you basically say, are we saying that sub-Saharan Africans? So are you lumping all sub-Saharan Africans in that boat where they didn't know what a fucking wheel was? So
No, listen. You know how many cultures and how many different groups of Africans it is for one?
You to get
and my question is in sub-Saharan Africa, right? These people had not they didn't need a wheel. They didn't need
we're talking about sub-Saharan Africans now. Okay.
Yes, of course. I mean, this is what I'm
by the way, but okay.
The Moors were North Africans, you know what I mean? And a lot of them were Muslim and Arab too. I mean, you know, and a lot of people don't talk about that, but a lot of the Moors were kind of, I don't know, huh?
See, I knew you was gonna go into that. So
I'm just saying, like, listen, if you go to North Africa right now, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna see, you know, some Arabs. You're gonna see.
Okay, that's how it is now. Do you know what it was?
Yes, I've heard about ancient Egypt. Yes, I know. Yes, I know about these things. Yeah, I know. What I'm telling you is, all I'm saying is that North Africans and Sub-Saharan Africans were that's two different. That's like two different.
So I'm clear. Now that you tried to walk around it, you basically said Sub-Saharan Africans, which is Nigeria to South Africa. They may be different tribes, but
we were talking about. You asked me what happened in South Africa.
Yeah, but you're connecting like Nigeria, like you're lumping it all. Like,
no, I'm not. You're doing that. You're doing that.
It's Sub-Saharan Africa.
Look, man, let's just let that shit go. Like, that shit ain't that. It's 12 o'clock.
This is very important because when
go ahead and make your point. Everybody be quiet. I'm gonna let them go ahead.
My point is, when I'm talking to an African American and wants to talk, a man in particular, that wants to tell me shit like white supremacy does not exist, but then you have the nerve to come in on the other side and talk about, well, that sounds like you got an inferiority complex and you're using the science, quote unquote.
No, I'm talking about facts. I'm talking about the facts. That's what I'm talking about. And a lot of black folks don't want to deal with the facts, and you're a prime example of it. A prime example of it.
Facts. Okay.
You don't want to deal with the facts. You want to believe in the emotional escapism. You want to believe in the magic.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. The truth is, white folks just took a lot of shit because they could. They were the bully. They had the guns. They had the money. They had the resources, and they just took a lot of shit. And if black folks wake up tomorrow and say we want to take a lot of shit, we can do it. We can do it. We can do it. They're not supreme. White people are not supreme.
I did not say that. And white supremacy does not mean that we believe.
Of course it does.
It's
religion. It's a religion.
Can I explain it? White supremacy is the idea that you are in an economic environment in which white people will put race over just the regular market.
That is what you call nature.
Their wealth.
That's nature. That is nature. No. See, when you buy into the white supremacy theories, you're buying into what you believe you believe that people should be fair. Let me explain. Hold on. You're buying into the premise that people should be equal. People should be fair. Nobody should be. It doesn't work like that. We live in a jungle. Period. And the strongest person with the most resources, power, wealth, and influence, they just control shit. And if it comes, listen, at the end of the day, if I have a son, my son is gonna and I'm wealthy, my son is gonna eat more than your son. Period. And if your son comes to my house, I'm gonna take care of my son first. Okay? Like I'm not gonna take care of your son before I take care of mine. That would be stupid. And the white folks are no different. At the end of the day, they have the wealth because they were bold enough to take it. And
a lot of stuff on me based on people I believe you've talked to before.
No. This is
that person.
You know, y'all know what's. Hold on. Let me say this, man. Cause my battery about to die. I'm gonna say this. You know what's real fucked up? Both of y'all love black people. Both of y'all about black business.
I don't agree with that.
Hold on. I know this brother, man. I spoke at nauseum with Mr. Black.
Look at you.
I can vouch for this brother. This is a solid brother on this phone. He ain't He ain't no Uncle Tom Coon hate black people. That ain't none of that fits him, right? None of that fits you. And I hadn't even been on your channel to check. I don't even know if you got a channel. I just like what I hear when I hear you talk. We should not be attacking each other. We're gonna make a point. Let's just make the point. Hold on. Let's just make the point. Disagree. When you raise your voice, Edward, it's gonna make a person get defensive.
Damn that. If you want to come on BGS Ignores next time we have a hangout to talk the same stuff you talking, be my guest.
Alabama, I call you Alabama. You hit the nail on the head right there. And I'm gonna say it plain fucking talk. Niggas just can't get along. Can't have
No, it ain't even about that because one thing
that's
is
why I don't fuck with you motherfuckers like that. And why don't fuck with you niggas? Even the niggas in my family. I don't take your phone calls. I don't let you fuck up my day with your bullshit. Disagree with you about shit that don't matter, that happened 20, 30 years ago. Fuck you. I'm here trying to get my money today. Hit the nail on the head. Niggas can't get along. Period. For whatever fucking reason.
Hey, this was fun.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, you hit the nail on the head.
like I said, no, this was. I'm going to withhold some of this. This is what I would say to you, dude. But I would say my recommendation is come on.
I've talked to BGS Ibmore before. I've been on conversations with him.
Hey, come on and hang out then, and let's talk about that. Let's have you actually in an actual arena, because the reality is this thing. I see you have a certain preconceived notion of what white supremacy, because it's exactly what, actually, ironically, it's exactly what you're saying. And you're saying, well, black people need to practice black supremacy and they need to protect their own. I actually have an agreement with black people need to do that. But the problem is, it's funny because the very argument you're making on the economic standpoint by saying black people cannot accept that reality that white people are going to do for self first.
That to me is natural.
Is the very reality that you're denying by saying white supremacy does not exist.
No.
Wait. I'm confused. Hold on. You keep talking that way. You keep talking. I'm confused. So because he just doesn't use the word white supremacy, but he said that they're
the same thing, but he doesn't like it's called white supremacy because he has an emotional attachment to the term. That's all it is. But you're literally saying the same thing. White people did this because they could and they had the ability, and black people need to do the same. I agree with that statement. I just called it a name. It's called white supremacy.
You know what? You guys are just tinkering with the definition of white supremacy. The brother that was speaking before, and I don't know your name, I'm sorry, not you that was just
Mr. Black.
All right, Mr. Black. The brother that was speaking before, you guys are just tinkering with the definition. He's taking a more literal sense of the term supremacy, thinking that white superior are superior one-on-one. But he's actually defining white supremacy, everything that he's discussing, that he's talking about. It's how white supremacy works. White people do it for white people and moving others aside on the basis of race. That's the reason why white people have more power than black people in any other group.
Individually, white people are not stronger than black people one-on-one. That should be proven by now. It is their collective strength and their ability to work together that they have the advantage on, and is what they've always had the advantage on. That's it.
I don't fuck with you black motherfuckers.
No, I hear what you're saying, but I just wanted to make that point. So I'm getting pissed because we're arguing about something, quite frankly, we shouldn't be arguing about, because you have an ideological issue.
I really wanted to talk about capitalism tonight, but we never really got around to it. We'll have to redo it, man.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. Y'all go ahead and drive home right now, so keep talking.
Everybody should continue on upon their way and make your mark, empower yourself so you can empower others that are willing to listen to you and think like you. And you have to find people that are going to be subservient, they're going to listen to you. They don't have
I agree with that.
They're dependent on you for their income. That's the way this shit works.
I agree with that, because the problem is whenever anyone come in here and think they have the exclusive understanding of the facts,
I don't think I have that.
Talk about in general, there is a reason why academics. There is a reason why academics argue and debate. They're debating over the same damn facts usually. So this idea. So when you keep saying the facts, the stats. That's like a black woman telling me about their damn degree.
We don't hear each other out and listen and really think about what someone's saying. Okay, that we're too busy trying to formulate a response or a counterpoint, or we're taking, and I do it all the time, or we're taking some minor part of what they're saying and making an argument out of that and throwing out the rest of what they're saying. I listen to both of them. Describing why
I wrote down what he said. I mean, if you clearly listen to the video, you'll see exactly what he's saying. And then as I respond to it, basically we're going all the way around to what the point is, kind of going all the way around back to the point that I knew where we were going to in the first place, which is basically we live in the jungle. I agree with that. I agree with that. But you telling people where they are in that way, like, it's not about trying to get people not to face reality. I'll tell people where they are, but at some point you have to say, what are you going to do about it? And people don't want to say that part. We haven't even gotten to that part because we want to get to, you keep on wanting to hammer home. This very premise of this video is we need to wake people up to what they need to do. Well, you need to understand that some people are not going to wake up. So at some point, people got to see the train leaving before they decide to wake the hell up. So constantly, and plus, Yvette, Carnell, and Tone are not going to be the niggas that's actually going to lead somebody out of a hole that they very much want to tell them that you're in. So the idea that Boyce Watkins is a PhD in finance, Yvette is going to you're going to listen to Yvette over him, that's stupid in and of itself.
Who said that I listened to Yvette Carnell over Boyce Watkins?
I'm talking about the original reason we did the video. That you didn't say that, but you are using the same points, and that's why I wanted to look at.
No, that's not true.
I can pull video by video to what you're saying because they saying the same thing you saying. It might be
hey, hold up. What the thing is, man, like, I know you probably don't know, Mr. Black is his videos a lot of times he's talking about how to choose a good mate, how to become economically viable, what you can do for the 21st century, problem solve. It's really he's very like that's what I'm saying. It's really kind of sad to see this because it's like Mr. Black is not the guy. I think he's not like Yvette Carnell. Everything is doomed, and that's not his channel. I'm just, and I know you not like that either.
I get it. Very Killer Instinct hardcore.
Maybe what?
Very hardcore Killer Instinct.
Maybe he misjudged by just a quick slip of the tongue by saying that niggas in Africa didn't know what a wheel was.
Listen.
Maybe
that's just the truth, man. In sub-Saharan Africa, they didn't use wheels, man. They just didn't use them.
They didn't use wheels. All right.
They just didn't, man.
Hey, but just cite your source and let it go.
No.
Where's your source? Where you get it?
I was there in the 1500s when the Boers, that's who they were, the Dutch, when they arrived in the Horn of Africa and they saw that beautiful land and they saw those primitive ass people, and they were probably behind the times as far as where those Dutch were. Those Dutch were sailing all over the world. They were far from home. And they saw primitive people. And they not even, and they took advantage of them and stole their land and stole their resources and have developed wealth and that's still wealth. That's still wealth. That has sustained itself.
I mean that's why they dominate now, because the De Beers family, which is a part of the branch of the Rothschilds, they dominate South Africa because of it doesn't take them being more numerous. It just takes them owning and controlling the wealth, the resources.
It's the same thing that's happening right now with China. China is buying up. I mean, they're
nothing quite happened.
Your phone is real muffled.
Nothing quite happened as extreme as them tapping into.
Brown, you sound muffled real bad, man.
All right, well let me go. It's nice talking to y'all.
All right.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. I just want to hear you actually defend that point on BG talk about that will shit, because I'm telling you, you're wrong. And if that's gonna be the
I just put a link into the live chat about the wheel. Okay.
I'll make sure I ask BGS that as well once I cite your source.
Yeah, please. You know what I mean? And this is not something that is uncommon. This is something that is very ubiquitous. Like this is not
Okay,
something. Yeah, yeah.
we'll see.
They hadn't discovered the wheel. They didn't have any
Hold on.
two-story
Let me
buildings.
say this. Just because I think even if it's true, it doesn't make us as black people inferior. I don't. I
Yeah,
just think
you're right. You're
Well,
right.
just
We
think
didn't have
they
a
had
need
something
for it.
technologically, and they had one or two things that were more tech. They had ships. They did this. Well, we had ships too, but the guns and certain
So
things they
basically,
had that
I got a
allowed them to
question.
conquer.
I got a
But
question.
let me make a point. It wasn't that like with the Moors, they came and conquered and almost reigned for 1,000 years. So we've been proven that blacks, if given opportunity, could conquer and do certain things.
So you're basically saying that everything global that has to do with black people basically comes from North Africans.
What's
That's
what? No, no,
before
no, no.
white people took over.
What
That
are you talking about?
sub-Saharan
What are you?
Africa are like when it comes to being in the Americas, when it comes to being in India and China, all this shit was
Now,
North.
because
None
hold
of
on, hold up, because Timbuktu was the known center of the world at the time that is called the Dark Ages. Timbuktu is really in like southern, technically southern. I would call that. Well, not call it sub-Saharan. So, I mean that's. I don't believe that.
I don't think you understand how extreme like that statement was what you just said. And the very fact that you not what you just said, but I'm talking about that wheel thing. And the very fact that you would lay a foundation of an argument past that. That is something.
No. I think you misunderstanding what I'm saying. And Sub-Zero got it perfectly right. I don't know how you keep missing it. I think you're trying to miss it. I don't know what's going on. But the point of what I'm saying,
You
listen,
don't do anything
the point
have the
no. Let me explain. The point of what I'm trying to tell you is we didn't have a need for it. When I tell you that black folks grew up in a metaphorical Garden of Eden, right? This is where we come from. So food was plentiful. Everything was plentiful. So we didn't have a need for a wheel or a two-story building, or 3 or 4-story building.
You're still fucking wrong though. Like you keep see that you're one of these guys that if somebody doesn't agree with you, they must not have all the information.
Okay, hold on.
No.
Just do this then. Go ahead and tell us what name the cultures and societies where it's not true. Just do that.
I'm not the one to take that. I don't have to do that.
Hold up. I have not done the research myself.
I didn't make that claim, so it's not the burden on me to prove that. But I told you, I will ask.
All you gotta do is disprove it, though.
Look, I will ask BGS, and if BGS says this is true, I will publicly apologize to you, sir. I swear to God on
why is BGS the gatekeeper?
Because BGS will give me the links. Because guess what? I know, unlike people who want to talk about learn for yourself, when there's information that I'm not an expert on, I know where to go to get the right answers and to get my sources right. To give me a step, basically a point in the right direction. Because I don't think I know everything. So, like I said, if he says that that's true, and that what you're saying is true, and you say
I don't know what happened.
Apologize to you. I will apologize. I'll say out of pocket. I'll do all of that. Because it's on video and it's recorded how I responded, how you responded, what you said, and what I said. If it's not true, though, then I'll have the links and the sources to show that. Because I'm not an expert on pre-white colonial history. I know a little bit, but I'm telling you, that shit you talking about ain't true. I know enough to know that shit ain't true. And like I said, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I don't think I'm wrong. I'm willing to roll like dice.
Okay, cool. That's cool. I mean, if you can disprove, all I'm saying is I'm going off of what I've read. I can't go off of anything other than that. And what I'm telling you is that I mean, I'm just telling you that before the Dutch came to South Africa, they were a very primitive people there. That's all I'm saying. That was the only point that I was.
Well, that may be true for South Africans, and that's probably what it end up being. That you're probably spot on with South Africa.
Hold on. Good point. Now I know some history about the Boer settlers that came into South Africa off the Cape of Good Hope. When they came in, They came in, and there was a conqueror by the name of Shaka. Well, they had been there a while, but there was a conqueror. Y'all all familiar with Shaka Zulu. Shaka Zulu was more advanced than Alexander the Great and Napoleon. So it's been proven that we're not. I don't think he's saying that they're stupid. He's just talking about militarily advancement.
Well, I understand you're not saying that. I'm still talking about that stuff. And as far as technology, the gun in which white people got the technology from the Chinese. So I'm not talking about everything throwing out the baby with the bathwater. But what I am saying is this idea that you didn't get the wheel. That's what I just can't, because everything built on that foundation is a house of cards. It's almost not even talking about.
Hold on, let me say this. They say in the old, you guys are familiar with Egyptian history, I'm sure. Yeah. You got it's three kingdoms they take: the old, middle, and I forget the last one. New kingdom.
Well, that's North Africa, so that don't even matter because that's what he's talking about.
Hold on, I'm making a point. In the old, they say that they didn't have. They say they don't have any real documentation that they had wheels in the old kingdom until like I think the certain dynasty that came along. So it just depends, man. I mean, I don't. You know, I'm not.
But that's different than from when white people came. Those are two completely different things, though. You see, that's what I'm talking about. And the reason here's the reason.
All I'm saying is, I guess he's saying that this is where I wouldn't go to say that everybody in sub-Saharan Africa didn't have wheels. Now, I wouldn't go that far, but I'm sure that I agree with him that there were certain people. That's what I thought he was saying.
I can agree with that, but that's not what he said. That's not even the point. The reason why I made that, this is why I made this such a big deal. Because you got to understand, I'm a black man that acknowledges that black men are not ahead in our community. So that's hard for most black men to accept. We're in a gynocracy. We're not even in a matriarchy. We don't run the black community. That's the problem. Most black men can't even admit to that. I can admit so this idea that,
I can admit to that.
Well, most black men can't. And that's what I was saying when you were saying, it's all this emotionalism. I'm the type of person that's done the math when it comes to the athletes. We mentioned the athletes. If you take out Floyd Mayweather and all the major sports, all black athletes bring in, when you take out the endorsements, about $4.6 billion a year. To give a comparison, Mark Zuckerberg brings in a lot more times that individually. So this idea that I don't have a reality as to what the situation is, and I'm not saying that's what you said, but that's the accusation, and I'm gonna defend that. Like, that's not true. But my thing is, you have to know where you are to know where you're going. But the idea that you're just going to hammer people with where they are, well, at some point, they're just not going to listen. And you have to find the people that are, how can you say, receptive to that information. Just like most black men black men as a collective can't take back their community if they don't realize that they don't control their community. Because most black men say, hey, man, I fuck multiple bitches, so that's not true. They mistake individual power for collective power. I understand that.
That is the point of the reason why I bring up the things I bring up, because I don't think black folks know economically where we are. I don't believe that black
folks know. They just don't want to acknowledge it because they know if they acknowledge it, they're going to have to do something. Because what happens is when people acknowledge what the problem is, then you start looking for people to have to resolve it. And if you look at all of the people that actually have money and benefit from the system, one of my favorite movies, Captain America: Civil War, I forget the guy, Redford, he said, sometimes to build a better world, you have to tear one down. And what that part of tearing that down is the ideology of that world. So the ideology that black men can compete with other races of men. Well, unfortunately, we can't, because we have to reconquer our women first. And yes, individually, that's your responsibility. And as much of a sub-collective or collective that you can make that is your responsibility.
Hold on. Let me ask you something. So, because I got 3% on my battery on my laptop, and it's about to cut off. But I'm going to say this. So you're saying that we have to conquer the women first. I always feel like if we get power, wealth, and influence, women will acquiesce to that.
No. The problem is, if it was a situation in which we control if we were in like a country that black people control, I mean, that may be true. Individually, that's true. But at the collective level, BGS says this a lot, but the environment will have to change. Because first of all, black people are not going to get to the point as collectively having power and wealth and influence because there's too many layers in which white people and people that compete, or let's just call it competitive groups, tribalistic competition, will use to knock black people out. Because if you can take one person off the board, that's less people you have to deal with. And so my point is, individually, what you're saying is true. But at the collective level, there's other considerations you have to take into account because white.
This is the thing. This is the thing. Like, I made a video about black people and education, right? Education is key. I'm about power, wealth, and influence. But at the same time, I talked about how any school you go to, I don't give a damn where it is. If you put 3-4 hours in a day studying, like I did when I played basketball, you'll get a scholarship. You'll get something.
Yeah, Boys Watson said that.
But you'll get something, right? So the point I'm trying to make is that black people, there are certain habits. I'm in IT. Every Indian or Asian that I work with, their children do just what I said. And damn it, that's why they win. It's not because they're just smarter. They're not smarter. I work with a lot of them. They're not. They're just. But
see, that's a big reason why I blew up over the comment of the wheel. Because what you're insinuating is that I'm not telling you may not mean for that to come out of your mouth. I'm saying that's how people will read that. Like that's how people will internalize it. And
I think there is something we have to admit as black people because IQ is affected by diet. It's affected by what is it? A lot of shit affects your IQ. So because of that, you just Google this. The IQs of blacks and compare them to everybody else. We're higher than a lot of people, but we're not like up there. So I mean, there's certain things that we are at disadvantage.
Well, I mean, but then again, here's the thing with that.
That doesn't mean it's set in stone. I'm just saying where we are, we have to be, if you deny.
I understand what you're saying, but the thing is you have to account for the environment. And I understand you are trying to account for the environments that black people are. But see, that's the type of thing. See, this is what happens when you don't believe in white people. When you say, if you're a black person and you say our IQ is lower, a white person will not say, oh, all the reasons you said after that. Like, let's say you say IQ of people that's in the hood, like Flint, Michigan, just getting bad water and all this. They'll just say you said the IQ is lower and try to argue off of that point. So we got to be careful what we put out there because most people know. And also when you look at when you look at the idea of education, you see, when you're talking about IT, that means you could argue if somebody is really hooked up in certifications and stuff like that, then you might say, okay, that's an educated brother because he's got a certification game on point because he's got this one up to date. Versus maybe a sister would say, oh, well, he doesn't have a degree. Now, the IT guy may make more money and have a stronger career path than a sister that may have a degree in sociology or whatever bullshit that is. But it's the mindset. So this is the part of what I'm saying. Black men are not setting the tone. Now, I'm not saying that we have to. But yeah, I am saying that before we can really go after other races as a collective group, we are going to have to deal with this gender war and break our women one way or the other. Unfortunately, there's a fast way to do it and there's a slow way to do it. We can't do it the fast way. What's the fast way? Salem witch trial, Spanish Inquisition, things in history that's been designed to reset is usually acclimated to violence. I'm not saying that's morally right, but the guy can appreciate the brutal honesty of the situation. This is what wars and stuff has been done for in order to quickly reset certain things for various reasons. So because we don't control the laws, we have to be extra on point because there's a lot of landmines that affect black people because of our socioeconomic position. Now we got past all that bullshit, which is unfortunate. Talk about the real stuff would be stuff like what's going on with this Section 8 being removed. See, this is where I agree with Astidian and them when it comes to voting Republican, because Republican is going to kill off this welfare state, which is going to disproportionately affect black women and basically eliminate the government jobs, which will disproportionately affect sisters. Because it will get rid of all of their goodies and the wealth that they're being fed to via the government. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Anyway, so it's unfortunate because we got off the rails on the wheel thing, and I'm gonna ask that question. But at the end of the day, I'm not one person that gets all mad. These are conversations. So. I stand on what I say, and like I said, I'm gonna ask. I don't know.
This was funny tonight, but this was fun, man. I enjoyed this. Mr.
Well,
Black, you there?
hey,
Yeah, I'm here.
if nothing else, it's entertaining. That is value in that.
This is the thing, man. I'm gonna say this. Brothers that is on this phone. Like I spoke with Mr. Black. I don't know too much about you yet, Ed, but trust me, man. We out here trying to make it happen, man. Like I'm flipping real estate. I'm doing IT. I'm doing a lot of different things to try to get ahead. So I've owned a lot of shit. So we've done a lot of business. So when I talk about business and stuff, more so because we talked about this earlier, it's not about me being emotional or me trying to just pontificate and talk about some shit that ain't gonna really get nowhere. I'm about that life, but at the same time, sometimes when I talk, and I don't know about everybody else, but from where I'm coming from, when I talk about where we are, I come from where we are. We're here. So in light of that, kind of like Jason Black, when he talks about, man, it's not, he had a video today talking about, misplaced priorities in the face of white supremacy. That's the name of it he had today.
Yeah.
So he's saying your
Jason
priorities.
Black says Carnell is a psycho.
Yes, she is. I disagree
Jason
with.
Black
I don't.
Jason Black is the most brutally honest person on YouTube.
I can't do Yvette Carnell. I saw her and Boyce Watkins do a debate, and everything Boyce came with, she was trying to shoot it down. There's no way in hell she'd have stayed within my network. After I'm like, damn, everything you trying to build, she trying to basically tear down. That's not gonna work. I'm like, shit, man. You trying
Boyce has to take personal responsibility.
Yeah, like you trying to get your network.
In his house.
You trying to get your network up and get black people hope, and her ass on there talking about everything you say ain't gonna work.
The problem with Yvette Carnell,
and that's basically what I was talking about, because I was hearing the same arguments.
No, the problem with Yvette Carnell is that Yvette Carnell is broke, but that does not negate from the fact that the things that she's talking about is true. It's true.
So I'm
not saying that.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just. My whole point is just the fact that Dr. Boyce Watkins is talking about a lot of truth, and Yvette Carnell is talking about a lot of truth in terms of the stats. And I talk about a lot of the truth because I was talking about a lot of this stuff even before Yvette Carnell was even doing anything on it, or I knew anything about it.
Hey guys,
yo,
do you hear the echo?
Yeah, I hear that.
That's probably me. That's probably me, man. I had to get off my laptop. It died. So look here, man. I gotta go to bed, man. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I hit y'all up, man, and I enjoyed this thing, man. But yeah, I'm on it, man. I got a little interview thing tomorrow I got to go to. So.
Oh, okay. I understand. Yeah, we can begin. Maybe keep the business this time.
For sure. That's what's up, man. Let's talk about some business opportunities and how to get there, man. Some real substantive answers instead of just because a lot of times people do.
I'm a digital marketer.
I want phone numbers. Yeah, I want phone numbers. I want addresses, websites. Let's do that because that's what I try to make my channel about. Like, I give phone numbers and emails and shit so we can really get out here and make something happen, man. So.
Okay.
All right, fellas.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
Good night. Yep. Good night.
All right.